Hey everybody, Eric Dorward here at the Spartan Rocketry Club, and it is time to start the finishing process on my Estes BOSS here. So everything is glued in place, it's pretty much ready to go. It just needs to start the painting process. Now, I thought about how much I actually wanted to do here. I am going to take a little bit of time to use my wood fill here to fill in the grain of the wood. That's what it's for, right? So I've taken hardly any of this. I don't really have a lot of wood in this, but I've taken what I have. Um, it's probably, I don't know, maybe a teaspoon's worth of this stuff. And I added just the tiniest amount of water, just a couple stray drops here. And it's given me, well, it's still pretty pasty. It could actually stand a slight bit more water, but this is pretty good. It's given me a paste, and I'm going to use that to fill in, or just paint over, basically, all the parts of this. As a nose cone, I'm taking that off because I don't need it right now, but all the wood parts. The main thing right here is this fin. Other than that, there really isn't very much. There are a couple pylons, and I might as well brush them too. They're going to be kind of hard to sand. So I thought about this, and I thought, do I really want to take the time to do this? Because the whole finishing process, if you really want to fill in the grain in the wood, it's time consuming. It takes way, way longer to get it ready to paint than any other part of the process. I don't know what the runtime of all these videos is at this point, and I don't really know how much time I used in addition to that, but it's a couple hours maybe. But the amount of time it takes to let all this stuff dry and so on and so forth, it takes a while. So in any event, I am trying to get in here. It's pretty hard. I could use a smaller brush, I guess, but this is the brush that I've kind of sacrificed to this process. So I don't really want to ruin another brush, because this stuff, I'm not saying that this brush is ruined, but this is quite the process. Alright, so that's one side. Do make sure that you're painting these pretty quickly, one side then the other, because if you don't, there's some potential that you could end up warping the wood, because although it isn't very much moisture, there is some water in this, and getting the wood wet is, well, that's how you warp it. Which is actually a trick you can use from time to time if you want to curve the wood. Why would you want to do that? Well, I've only made one once, and I didn't do a very good job of it, but there are designs for rockets that use a kind of a helicopter approach to recovery. And for them to work right, the fins, really, they're rotors, they need to be nice and curved. Alright, I'm going to try to brush a little bit more in here on this side. But that looks pretty good, and I've definitely gotten some on the tube here. That actually is not a problem because I want to seal it eventually anyway. Now I'm going to do my best to get nothing on the big round part because it's got that paper on it. And that's smoother than I'm going to get through this process. So I'm really going to try hard to not get any of this stuff on the paper. I'm probably going to fail at that, but I'm going to keep it to a minimum. Anyway, we'll put it that way. Again, this is going to be hard to sand, so that's going to be another drawback. It's one of the reasons why I really thought long and hard about this. Do I really want to go through, do I really want to go through all the trouble of doing this? And honestly, jury's still kind of out on that. I'm not sure that this is really worth the effort that I'm going to put into it, but might as well. I'm going to give it a try. Alright, so that's most of this. Got one more face to do, and hardly any left, which is great. That's the amount I want. Hardly any. I'm actually going to put it on here first. So like I said, I don't want to get any on the paper if I can help it. I'm going to get a little bit. That's kind of unavoidable. But I'd like to keep that to a minimum. Alright. Now I definitely got some on the body tube. That's not a problem. In fact, the remainder in here I am going to purposefully put on the body tube. Before that, let's just make sure that I've got this stuff. And what's on the body tube right now is really caked on. It's blobby. Don't want that. So I certainly want to smooth it out, if nothing else. Yeah. All right. Yeah, that's going to be a real bear to sand. Whatever. All right, so I do have a bit left, and what I'm going to do with at least some of the remainder here is I'm going to try to fill in the spiral on these engine pods because it's pretty noticeable. So I'm just going to brush this stuff into the crack, as it were, in the spiral, and then I'm going to smooth it out. Obviously, whatever I'm smoothing out with the brush, there's going to be brush strokes in it, it's not going to be all that smooth. So I absolutely need to go over this with sandpaper afterwards because it's going to be a mess otherwise. So if you're going to take the time to do this, you absolutely then need to sand the paper, or the tube rather. So I'm just kind of like dabbing this stuff onto the spiral, and then I'm going to smooth it out afterwards. Normally I don't generally do this. In fact, I'm not going to do it on most of the rocket because the part that I'm holding with my left hand right now, it's actually the spiral, and that's not very noticeable. I only generally do this when the spiral is really, really obvious. And even then, I mean, I don't always do it. This is definitely just an aesthetic thing. Although I suppose there's probably some aerodynamic benefit to not having the spiral in it, having a smooth surface rather than a rough one. But that would not, this kit is not aerodynamic. We are not looking to set altitude records with this thing. This is a fun build. So my rationale here is 100% aesthetic. I'd like it to look nice. Alright, so that's the dabbing part, and I'm just going to spread this out a little bit. And it's my fill is drying out a little bit, so it's getting a little pasty, which is good. Well, it's not great, but it's fine that it's doing now because this is the last little trace quantities of it. This is definitely one of those things, I don't really know when the ideal time to do this step is. It's probably not now, because I'm dealing with kind of like the dregs in the bottom of the cup, so it's not, this isn't the optimal blend anymore. But I'm also using up the leftovers, which is a good thing to do, right? I don't really need the excess. I made a little more than I needed, so this is a good thing to do to not be wasteful, I guess. Now this part in here is going to have to be sanded pretty hard because there's a good amount of excess on. The nice thing about this stuff, I'm sure I've said it more than one video at this point, is it dries really quickly, and so I could sand this in half an hour probably, and it sands pretty nicely too. All right, there's a little bit left in there. This tube, like I said, is pretty nice. I don't see, I mean, there is a spiral to it. It's right here. It's not bad, and yeah, a lot of this is going to get covered up by decals and stuff. Yeah, this is like the third time I've knocked stuff over with this rocket. Alright, anyway, the top part, yeah, the spiral on the top part is more pronounced, but I don't think I'm going to do anything about it, and it's mostly because of these little porthole bits that I put on. I can't sand them, so I could put fill in here, but I can't sand right up to there without messing up those portals, I think. So I think I'm just going to not worry about the top. Mostly just looking at the fill. Last thing I guess I should check here is this stuff, when you get it on the nice rounded space, it doesn't look good. So I'm going to try to brush off any excess I have that's not really conforming to the rounded shape that I made with the fin. Yeah, that's good enough. Alright, so this needs to dry, and then I think what I'm going to do, well, the next phase is to use this sealer, sanding sealer, so that's my next step. That's I'm probably not going to do on camera. I think the next thing I'm going to do on camera will be to just, I will have this primed, so sealed, primed with spray paint, sanded down, and then, so this is probably like a week from now, real time, then it'll be ready to paint, so I'm going to have to mask it. That's probably what the next video is going to be. Alright, so thanks for watching, and I will see you then.